Nick,
you
ready?
too. Yeah.
Jeff, ready?
Yeah, you too.
Let's get it.
Freshly picked and ready for consumption. Here comes another round of the Radishcast.
Another Radishcast coming in for you. I'm your fearless commissioner and extremely lucky winner, Mike Fisher. Along with me, just like every time, my co-host Nick Spill Stoll, and Jeff loves making us record on Tuesdays, Gregory. Let's turn some rumors into facts.
Sometimes you just gotta do it, man. Work
Sometimes
dictates it.
You just gotta.
Dictates it.
That was kind of weird. Makes me think of the "You Took Our Jobs" from South Park, but anyway. So how you guys doing today? You guys good?
Yeah, it was a good day
It's
today.
Great Tuesday. Not too bad. I don't think I did much at work. I was thinking about playoff situations most of the day, but
Running
still a good day
scenarios.
overall. Yeah, good day overall.
When your odds are low, you think about more scenarios, I imagine.
Oh yeah, you have to, because that's the only way you're going to make the playoffs. If this happens, this also has to happen. Connect the dots. I got in my office just a board, a cork board with all these tied
Lines
up
and
together.
strings
yeah.
and-
Yeah.
Well, with that in mind, I'll throw up the playoff odds as well as the movers onto the screen here. So, you can kind of see who's gone up. Kyle's odds took a big jump. Stankowski, that is, with the win over Nick. Nick's odds took a dig, hanging on for dear life there. But yeah, no, a little bit of movement. Benny is officially locked into the playoffs. Me and Monroe are all but mathematically guaranteed. So, it's pretty well shaken out. We'll know a lot more in the next week or two, obviously, because
Wait, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
if we wait 2 weeks, we'll know everything we need to know who's going to be in. I'll be
So I
willing
don't
to
have to
put
run
money on it
scenarios?
at that point.
I can't wait for the scenarios next week, though, because the amount that you guys went through this week.
Those text messages.
Yeah.
Jeff's like, dude, Nick, just win. Why
Yeah.
are you talking about this? It's like,
Jeff's
I
over
need
here.
more than that, Jeff.
Jeff's already mathematically guaranteed his first round bye in the toilet bowl, so
Yes,
he doesn't
sir.
need anything else. He's locked in.
I don't even have to win for that.
I didn't even see that. Oh, Jeffy. What a piss poor year. I'm sorry.
The one
There's always
one
next
player
one.
that's kind of interesting to me is Jordan, especially. He's got some legitimate, like, actual odds that he could make the playoffs, but also he's got that little 0.6% chance of getting a bye in the toilet bowl. He is by far
Yeah,
the
what?
biggest range of outcomes here. With 2 weeks to play, could really go anywhere. Maybe not good that he lost his best running back for the rest of the year, but
That's
no.
very tough.
Anything else you guys seeing with these odds?
Nope, just getting
I mean,
more and more clarity.
Yeah, I don't like the clarity though, Jeff. It's not in the right direction. But yeah, that's
Could
true.
it be differently clear, please?
Yeah. Make it money again.
All right. Well, as we jump into this week, look at our Week 12 money winner. So Jordan with Leonard Fournette, the highest scoring player traded for. Not someone I really thought was going to be in play for it, but he just went bananas in that game. Tom Brady got nothing. None of the receivers got anything. It all went to Big Lenny. So, George's got to be happy about that. That's another win. George's making bank on the weekly rewards this year.
That's true. He doesn't even need to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Get
He's
all his
already got
money
his
back.
money. Yeah, he's already got his
true.
money.
All right, and then our Week 13 is the highest scoring rookie. So the rookies have had 12 weeks to get fully acclimated with their teams, and whichever one ends up scoring the most wins their coach some money. Got to start him though. So maybe some incentive to start your rookies this week. Nick, throw Quadri Ellison into there.
Yeah, right. Shut up, dude.
Is he even a?
He's
I
not
don't
even
think
a
he's
rookie.
He's not a rookie.
We'll still let that pass.
I'd give you the money if you started Quadri Ellison.
too important this week. I think most of us might pick the same one. At least I would think so. I don't know.
It'll
not.
probably be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be between 4 guys, realistically.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. But all right, with all that out of the way, why don't we hop into the recap?
This here's the Radish Recap.
Radish recap. We got the SCLSU Mud Dogs and coaches Joe Harper and Troy Heck taking on the Archduke Fish and Coach Mike Fisher. Dukes were a 25-point favorite in this one. We all had some faith, and I barely limped into a victory, 88-81. My lowest scoring output of the year, my lowest 2 scoring outputs of the year have been against the Mud Dogs here.
Great defense.
They've just got my number on defense. So,
Yeah.
Jeff, I'm gonna throw it over to you first. Why don't you take my side of the ball?
Your side of the ball? Man, I mean, that Barkley play, Mike, it looks good every single week, but he just is not performing too much for you. You know, he had a decent game, I should say, at 7 points, but not what you were expecting. And you kind of hit on it with the Fournette talk. Brady and Evans really didn't do what Brady and Evans do for you every single week. So kind of lucky that you got by on this one. And really the big thing was T. Higgins going plus 20 for you. So got enough out of everyone else. And surprisingly, Kittle not really involved in a high-scoring 49ers game, only getting you 1.8. I don't think that's going to be the case every week or ever again, but, you know, just something you have to monitor there. But
Yeah, you touched on T. Higgins. You know, Joe Burrow had 190 yards. T. Higgins had 114 of them. So
That's crazy.
Finally a breakout game for him. You know, it's been kind of a waiting thing. He's had some consistency. He's been pretty solid most of the year. So nice for me to see him break out. But Nick, toss it over to the other side of the ball. What's going on with the Mud Dogs?
Nothing much besides Joe Mixon. If you look at the lineup here, pretty gross. Freaking had that receiving touchdown in a pretty gross game for Pittsburgh. Mixon 30 points. What a stud he's been. I was talking to Troy earlier, I think this year, talking about Mixon a little bit. I was super excited for him. So it's nice to see that. I mean, he doesn't have any other pieces, but that's got to feel good. Jeff Wilson start, tough. I don't know if he thought it would be a little more split with Mitchell coming back, but it's tough. 1.2.
I think it was more of just not having another option.
That's true too. I didn't even look down. Sorry, Troy.
The only other option was double Cincy running back. So
yeah,
very true. Yeah, that's all I have. Now,
Are you sure you don't have
Nick's Bum of the Week.
Spare any change, sir? No, off!
So Kyle Pitts is my bum of the week with 3.6 points against the Jags. His projected total was, I think, 13 points. You get that, and you get the win, right? If my math is correct.
Yep.
So if you just get what he's projected, he pulls. It's close enough. Good enough for the girls I go for. I'm no mathematician.
I'm telling Raina.
Wait. Dude, don't.
Dude, come on.
Raina.
Boom. And that's what that is, baby.
And that's what that is.
Yeah, bomb.
Right you are. All right, moving on to our next matchup. We got Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley taking on Lick McCaffrey-Madak and Coach Jordan Chartier. Grizz came into this one at the 7-point favorite. We all thought Jordan had some life here, and it turns out he did. 123-97 takes the win. You saw in those playoff odds earlier, this bumped Jordan's playoff odds pretty significantly, and my model's got him over 10% chance now, and really that tiebreaker, the double tiebreaker over Cooley is a big part of it. But we talked about Leonard Fournette just going absolutely nuclear here. Gronk in the same game, was the only receiver worth a darn for that Tampa Bay offense. So him getting the points. Brandon Cooks had a nice touchdown, and that kind of saved his day. And then Dak on Thanksgiving, did enough. But The rest of the team was okay, but those guys really went off and did enough for him. Tough loss with McCaffrey there.
Exactly.
2 years in a row, basically since he's drafted him, he's gotten to use him for 5 total games, and that's just that's got to be frustrating if you're Jord here. So I have to imagine that's got to be pretty tough to deal with. Aaron Jones came back and maybe a week too early, didn't really have a whole lot of involvement there. You got to think better days are ahead with him, but it's going to be Leonard Fournette and Aaron Jones moving forward, and hopefully Lenny can continue to be what he's been to make the loss a little bit easier. Jeff, throw you at Cooley's side of the ball. What do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, you look at Cooley's wide receivers and even his running back rooms. He's got pretty good performances from most of his guys. Really where it's surprising is Lamar Jackson scoring sub 10. I don't think you can count on that or bank on that very often. And, if he has a decent game, and by decent, like just double that, put him by 18, where I think is a pretty consistent or easy scoring total for him. This gets a lot more interesting. Deebo Samuel, I don't know how significant of an injury that was. I think he's out a couple weeks or maybe a week for sure, but that I think that's going to hurt Cooley a lot here. I mean, this guy has just been on a tear all year and easily a top 5 wide receiver, and I would bet top 5 even maybe fantasy wise, just with the way he's been going. But just a decent performance, just didn't get enough out of his flex, tight end, and quarterback positions, and those are the 3 main spots that really hurt Cooley on this one. So sucks.
Yep, not having Kelsey to fill that tight end spot is rough. Nick, what else you got in here?
Yeah, so Cooley side, Devontae Smith, that Philly Giants game, I'm surprised only 7-13. What, Hurts threw how many picks? 3, 4?
Yeah, it was
a couple in the red zone.
It
was an ugly game. A couple really ugly games on his side of the ball with, like you touched on, that Lamar Jackson play. Just get Kelsey back and move on from here, Cools. I hope you lose though. So
it all plays into the situations, into your spreadsheet. So moving on to our next one, we got I Am Left-Handed and Coach Kyle Monroe taking on Old Man Joe and Coach Joe Thomas. The lefties were a 6-point favorite in this one, took the win 101-86. I picked Joe in this one. He did some good things, but also some not quite as nice things. But Nick, I'm gonna toss it to you first. Take whichever side of the ball you want.
Yeah, Kyle's side of the ball here. Those Rams wide receivers, not named Cup. Holy moly, he kind of went off. Van Jefferson is getting ultra targeted. Why is that? With all those other, is it just coverage? You think? I have no idea. He's the last couple of weeks. I think he had 10 targets last week.
Yeah, that'll happen when Robert Woods goes out for the season. 9 last week. Yeah,
Rob trees, if you will.
Yeah, someone's got to get those.
Yeah, true. It's nice to get Patterson back in his lineup for Kyle. Instantly, that offense looked so much better. Atlanta, I don't think they scored a touchdown in the last, I forget how many quarters they set on red zone, but it was
rough.
A long time. So that's a great play, and it'll continue to be a great play. He's probably excited to get Murray back though next week. So
yeah, I would think, but right in line with that, losing Darren Waller for it hasn't really come out how long it's going to be. They said it's nothing major, but still, a couple weeks without him will be rough.
Yeah.
But Jeff, toss it over to you for Joe's side of the ball. What do you got?
Yeah, Joe's side, just that Javonte Williams is one of the only bright spots here on this week at least, and I'm sure Joe's pretty excited with what the rookie's doing here the last couple of weeks. He's looked good. He's starting to get in the end zone, getting a touchdown this week. Burrow, the Cincinnati puts up 41 points, and he still has kind of that average week at 16 points. So I'm sure Joe was expecting or hoping for a little bit more than that. But other than that, there's really not much here. Montgomery going against the Lions and only scoring less than 9 points is kind of a surprise. Yeah. I went against him in a few leagues and was expecting him to, put just monster numbers up, especially on a Thanksgiving game, primetime day. And that just didn't happen. So kind of a big thing that is to note here is not seeing AJ Brown in Joe's lineup, and he'll be out for the next 3 weeks. And, I think that's got to kind of scare Joe a little bit here, because that guy is he's just a stud, but just not enough.
Yep, Hurts not having him for sure. Yeah, missing him for another couple weeks. That Titans offense as a whole just, can't keep anybody healthy, can't keep anybody on the field. But moving on to our next one, we got the Taint Ticklers and Coach Nick Stoll taking on Cobra Kai and Coach Kyle Stankowski. Cobras were an 11-point favorite in this one, took the win 116-97. Nick, this was probably your prime opportunity to make a huge push in the playoff race. A 97-point game isn't bad necessarily, but Kai did enough to keep you down. And the surprising part to me is doing it with less than 7 points from Jalen Hurts. He's been so consistent. He's been getting so many rushing yards and, still 77 rush yards in this one. But basically all that did was counteract the 3 interceptions that he threw and did not do much through the air. But luckily, a 2-touchdown game from Adam Thielen, huge day from Elijah Mitchell, over 100 yards and a touchdown. So he had some good performances elsewhere. Devontae Adams, 100 yards casually. Jarvis Landry had a lot of work in that game. So, Kyle did enough pretty much everywhere to keep you at bay in this one. And, I think it's more of a credit to him than a shame on you situation. Definitely a couple disappointments. I'll let you talk through them. Nick, why don't you talk to your side of the ball?
Yeah, we were talking about before the show that Tampa Bay Indy game, all those points being put up and none going Godwin's way and Pittman only having 7.3. It's tough. I mean, they were even throwing the ball through I think Taylor had going into that last drive, like 9 points, 8 points.
Yeah,
fed him down the field. And he ended up with 17. But really, I mean, most of those points were through the air, and nothing was really going Pittman's way. That game, I need those 2 guys for me to win. I have to have a higher floor game out of them. Otherwise, I just don't. I don't have enough to make it up. Bourne kind of surprised me with that 2-touchdown game, and I still couldn't pull it off. So.
Yeah, it looked pretty bleak going into that Monday night game, but solid game out of Gibson. A little bit of a bounce back from Russell, not maybe all the way, but part of the way. J.D. McKissick got hurt in that one, but even if both of his touchdowns had gone to Gibby, I think you're still
not enough.
Fighting from the bottom. So,
I covered though.
You would have covered.
Yeah, that's not what we're playing for though.
All right, moving
maybe
on
after
to our
next week
matchup.
it might be.
Yeah,
shut up, Jeff, you dickhead.
Moving on to our next matchup, we got Jay's Juggernauts and Coach Jeff Gregory taking on the Aaron Rodgers football team and Coach Tony Fisher. The football team is a 24-point favorite, and this one took the win 127-81. All of us picked him in this one. Nobody had a lot of faith in Jeff, maybe rightfully so. Jeff, I'm going to let you talk about Tony's side of the ball so you can talk about some good things.
Yeah, I don't know if it's we didn't have faith in my team. I think it was more that we had a lot more faith in Tony's side. So
yeah. It was both, Jeff. It was both.
It was both. Maybe for you guys. No, you see Josh Allen, just a dominant performance there. Eckler does Eckler things. Waddle, kind of a huge surprise for some people. I think all of us on here are pretty high on him. And he's just looking good in that Miami offense with Tua back there. So 137 yards and a touchdown on 9 receptions as a rookie. That's pretty impressive. And really kind of doing it with Justin Jefferson on a down week. He only had 11 points. So there's room for Tony's team to improve. Swift getting hurt, Alex Collins looking like garbage. And he still puts up 127 points. So his lineup is just dangerous. And, I feel sorry for anyone that's rolling up against him in playoff time.
Yeah, you didn't even talk about probably his best player, Nick Folk. 21 points from the kicker. That's
good.
Huge.
God. Yeah. Averaged 15 this year, I feel like. He's this year's coup.
He is kind of turned
just
into
a
this year's
beast.
coup. He's been pretty solid lately. A couple down games. I don't think Koo had a single down game, but no.
Don't take it,
Jeff.
Folk.
Jeff, your side of the ball. Damian Harris got the touchdown, and that's nice to see, but it was, not because they gave him all this work or because he was the guy. It was super split between him and Ramondre. The touchdown just happened to fall to him, so that's, I feel like, going to be a frustrating thing moving forward for you. And Dallas Goedert, gets this big contract extension and then gets one catch for 0 yards. That's when you look at someone's stat line. I'm looking at the CBS screen. It just says reception.
Reception.
Just reception. That's
I've never seen that before.
That's a little jarring to look at. So, Josh Jacobs was solid. Darnell Mooney had a really nice game with no Allen Robinson still there. I have to think that once Allen Robinson comes back, it's only going to be bad for him, not because Allen Robinson is so great, but just because it's a few less targets that are going his way. So. But no, yeah, it wasn't a terrible game. It's not like your team was absolutely brutal, but just didn't quite do enough, and I don't know that there was any chance that you were going to do enough in this one. Nick, what else you got in here?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't have been enough, but I think Rager dropped 2 touchdowns. Is that right, if I remember correctly?
Well, it was on the same. Wasn't it on the same drive?
Okay. So yeah, it was. There were 2 game-winning drops.
Yep.
You're right.
Yeah.
So only
that makes it better because they were
either way. Still 2 drops. It's like, come on,
dude.
Yep.
And that McLaurin play. It's always up and down with that quarterback play. It seems like what's the other dude, Carter? He's having a decent amount of targets.
Carter,
is that true?
Yeah. I'm excited for Curtis Samuel though coming back. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that he kind of stays healthy for a few weeks. So.
Yeah, Carter seems like he's been the result of there's just nobody else, right?
That's
Logan Thomas is
exactly
going to come back, Curtis Samuel's going to come back, and you have to think that those guys are going to get those balls. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to our last matchup. We got Ball is Life and Coach John Lamers taking on Benny and the Jets and Coach Ben Stelzer. Ball came into this one as a 14-point favorite. All of us thought Benny maybe should have been the favorite, was definitely going to cover, and he did. 120-77, just put the shellacking on Johnny Boy here. So, Jeff, I'm going to toss it over to you first. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I got a segment here, Mike, that
Jeff's worst coach of the week.
Going with John this week for the worst coach. He had a big opportunity going against his division opponent, Benny and the Jets, and kind of if I'm looking at this right, would have tied him up and gave him the tiebreaker over Ben, and walked away with a really disappointing score of only 77 points. And you look at some of his players here, it's not so much that he could have done something differently, it's just that his guys really didn't perform. AJ Dillon, one of the big things, sitting on his bench. I don't know if any of us really thought that was coming, or the amount of usage that he got, but it's something that he can kind of look at going forward. But Metcalf, only 1.8 points, really wasn't involved at all until that final drive. Chase, kind of a really down week in his respects. Conklin, same thing. Mike Williams, he's been up and down. Just enough players here where it just didn't fall right for John, and part of the reason he's the worst coach of the week.
Yeah, it's been a tough few weeks for John. His scoring has dipped pretty significantly over the last couple of games, and that's not the trend you want coming into playoffs, right? You don't want to be that team that peaked early and then limps in and loses right away. So definitely some things he's got to hopefully get figured out, for his sake. But Nick, I'm gonna toss it over to you. Nothing but good things on Benny's side of the ball as I'm looking down that lineup.
Yeah, I mean, everyone performed double digits everywhere besides this kicker that he traded for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Gesicki with 3 points, that double tight end start. Lockett's pretty interesting. He started him, I think, the last 2 weeks. I don't know if he has options down there. It's scary because every single time he's broken 10 points the last 2 games, but it's because of one long bomb. And I feel like that is normally what Lockett is, but Seattle's offense we talked about, it's looking shitty. Dalvin Cook being hurt, it's going to be tough. McKissick getting hurt. I mean, he has options down there. He can slide Hunt up in there, so and Connor. But, yeah, great week for Benny and the Jets. They keep rolling, keep putting up solid, great games. Everyone's performing. pretty consistent. So
Yeah, pretty head to toe. You gotta love that the trade for a Vikings kicker. A franchise known for consistent kicking.
oh, the shot.
But no. Looking down at Benny's, down at his bench here, he's got a couple of guys, Gerald Everett and Russell Gage and Westbrook Akine and Freddie Swain. Like, he's got a bunch of guys that had solid games, not guys you're ever going to play, but, a really deep lineup going on. And it seems like he's probably going to need that deep lineup now because this upcoming week, McKissick got hurt in this game. Cook got hurt in this game. He might be struggling a little bit. I know this kind of Benny came into the playoffs really strong last year, lost Will Fuller at the end, which was, really hurt his lineup because it was, he was real thin at that point. Wondering if maybe this year he's got a little bit more depth to be able to withstand that. So it'll be interesting, but no, definitely been rolling as of late. Looking at our standings here, so Jeff was 5-1 on the week. Nick and I were both 4-2. A good week of predicting there. I still command the game up on Nick and a half game up on Jeff. So Nick falling to the bottom here, but a real tight race all around. Don't worry, it's staying put, boys. It's
I can't believe I blew it with 2 freaking terrible weeks. I was so far ahead.
Yeah, it's real tight here though. The half game difference all around. So
where's the double up coming? Does he have to do a double up?
He doesn't have to, I don't think.
I don't have to.
We kind of make the rules up as we go, but
yeah.
All right.
That's true. He doesn't have.
Before we jump into the matchups here, we had a chance to sit down with Coach John Lamers a little bit ago, so I'm gonna jump over to that footage right now and let's talk to him. All right, joined in the studio today by Coach John Lamers of Ball is Life. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys.
It's always nice to have you on. You're probably the person in the league I talk to pretty much every day out of everybody, just because neither of us like to work. But that's
productivity is high.
His work.
Yeah, it is. It's its own form of work. So
right.
But yeah, no. How are things, John? How you doing?
Good. Nothing too exciting over in Minnesota here, but chugging along in these fantasy football seasons. Had a rough weekend this past weekend across the board, but oh well.
It's all right. The more you can just focus on only this league, the better.
Only one league I'm fully eliminated from, 2 wins total.
Gotcha.
Oh gosh,
who's been there?
Basically, Jeff and that one. Been there. You're there right now.
You're not even there.
Not quite.
Almost.
Jeff, why don't you lead us off with some of these?
All right, John. The first one for you here. You got a big matchup here with Cobra Kai. So why don't you talk us through that upcoming matchup and if there's any start-sit decisions that you're struggling with here?
Yeah. So I got to pull up the matchup quick now since I'm unprepared. I believe the Rams are playing the Jags, which should be a plus matchup, assuming the game stays close enough to keep everything going from an offensive standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll come down to Najee Harris. He's gotten completely game scripted out of a couple games this year, which doesn't help. So we'll see. I think another big one on his side is, you look at Elijah Mitchell playing against Seattle, who just got torched by both Washington running backs. So that'll be interesting. Jalen Hurts against the Jets is not a great matchup for me, but hoping the Vikings run the ball a little bit so Thielen doesn't score 2 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah, especially when you look at Najee going against Baltimore. You saw the Browns just give their running backs almost nothing against them, but that almost seemed like more of what the Browns chose to do. The guys weren't running real well, but they didn't try to stick with it at all.
Yeah, that game was disgusting.
Yeah, it was.
So as far as a start sit for my end, I guess, I've been waffling a little bit on it, was I think we've gone through this before, but Mike Williams versus Cincy or Judy against Kansas City. That's for WR3.
That is a good one.
I don't like Jerry Jeudy right now. I really thought I was going to like Jerry Jeudy a lot more than I have this year. And
There's too many mouths to feed there. And not a good enough quarterback right now.
Not a good quarterback. They seem to want to rely on the run as much as possible with those two guys. I'd probably stick Mike Williams. I don't like it. I don't like Mike Williams much either, but you at least know that he's in play for a deep shot or two where he can connect every game. So, yeah, that's tough. The Foster
I
Moreau
don't like
play
my
at
options
tight
at
end is
all.
nice.
That's cheeky. That's very cheeky.
It is.
One start this year, and he was like 6 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. So
Yeah, it was nice. It was a good game. I remember that.
That's super cheeky. Yeah. Who's your other option there? I don't even remember.
it's not much. Like Jared Cook or
That's fine.
Tyler Conklin.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm benching someone good.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe a little bit less cheeky, but no,
Probably a better matchup for you to start this week.
First, I've been a tight end project 10 all year.
Confident going back to the Clyde Edwards-Helaire well.
I wouldn't say confident, but I would say there's not many better options.
That's fair.
That's true.
If
I think
Cooper's
actually-
out, do you consider Gallup?
I'd consider it. I don't know. I probably would go with it. I'd actually consider him over Mike Williams then.
Yeah.
Just thinking
He's
that
sticking.
way, CD should be back, so he'll attract the number one over there. Might help.
Yep.
Actually, I'm kind of waiting for AJ Dillon to be back. I think I'm going to run him in my flex just for that 6 to 8 point floor instead of running Clyde, Mike Williams, Judy, whoever. That's
Right.
2.
Mm-hmm.
DK is interesting too, John. I mean, Seattle's looked like absolute
Yeah, apparently
dog
his
shit,
floor
and
is
they-
2 as well. I forgot Chuba's available next week too.
That is true.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Got a lot of options coming up.
Kind of feeds us into that next question, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. So, who on your roster are you most excited about? I know we've been talking about your roster, all your different options. You have a lot more options than, say, me and Jeff. So,
True.
who are you excited about there, and who are you disappointed with so far on the year?
There's enough guys I'm excited about. It'll be interesting. I'm excited about. I'm gonna go with Deshaun Watson on this one, just because
Ooh.
he's a top 5 quarterback for how many years straight there. We know he's not going to be back in Houston. Some of the top destinations might be your Panthers, Dolphins, maybe the Broncos, Steelers. All those guys, they have pretty good skill position guys right now.
Mhm.
That's something
Seattle.
Watson hasn't had since Hopkins, and then even with him, it was only one guy. So
Exactly.
that'll be
If he
interesting.
ever
across
plays
the board.
again.
Yeah, if he ever plays again. Disappointment, I could write a long list on that one. I think it's got to be my main leaders, and DK Metcalf, Mike Williams, Jamar Chase. Recently, just the last 4 weeks, my receivers essentially haven't been there at all. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you went through a stretch there right at the start of the year where pretty much everybody was going nuclear for you, and almost all of them cooled off pretty heartily. So
yeah, both rookies definitely hit a rookie wall.
Very true.
And Jamar almost looks like it's seems to be kind of just what Cincinnati's decided they want to do, especially coming out of their bye week. They just decided they wanted to run more. They've had the game scripts where they can, so he has gotten a lot less, deep targets last week. T. Higgins got a lot of deep targets, but there just wasn't many total. I mean, Burrow had less than 200 yards, and T. Higgins had 115. It's just, the nature of the game that could just as easily flip the other way and beat Jamar. But yeah, definitely a little bit of a cold streak for your guys. So I gotta talk. We got Nick here, we got you here, we got the potato bet coming up. That is by far the most exciting side bet I'm looking forward to, because no matter what, whenever we do our draft in person, I'm going to make sure that there's some really uncomfortable events to be carrying a potato around the whole time. So I just want you to talk me through, Nick can probably chime in a little bit too, but I want you to talk me through a little bit, who came up with that? Where'd that come from? It's very specific to be a medium-sized potato. Was a large potato in play? Walk us through that a little bit.
It came from one of my coworkers had done a bet like that. I forget what it was. Something for how many games the Twins would win or something like that. And he made it with a different coworker, and there he was walking around work with a potato in his pocket. And I thought, how ridiculous would that be? Especially if it ends up being like Mike's bachelor weekend, heading to bars, stuff like that. Like, yeah, you can't carry that in here.
I have to. It's my pet.
It's my potato buddy.
If that happens, if you ever get like turned down at the door, I feel like the way out would be to eat the whole thing raw, and then you don't have to carry it anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Or we just storm out of the place and we go to another place, and then they get all mad.
Go somewhere more potato friendly.
Eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
That place is racist. Yeah, the potato, you have to eat that then too. That's part of the bet anyways.
Yeah,
So
but you can at least
it can
cook
be
it.
cooked. Yeah. Wash it and cook it. It's no different than a different potato.
Yeah, just as dirty. You don't know where that's going to be.
Booze getting spilled on it all weekend, and
Nick's problem, not mine.
Yeah.
What? Well, potentially, yeah.
Just don't lose.
oh man,
I'm not liking it.
All right, John, I got one more for you. We got playoffs right around the corner, and you're in the hunt for one of those final spots. But who is probably your most important player or players that you need to perform to get you into that playoff spot on your roster right now?
Gonna go. We'll go with Jamar Chase. He just hasn't been going, doing it. And between him and Metcalf, they're my two lead receivers. I expect fluctuating performances out of my third receiver or flex, but out of your 1 and 2, you got to have 10 plus every week is your hope, and not, 1.7 or 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those high floor plays. They just haven't been there for you.
especially because it's the guys that you're always going to have in your lineup, right? If Mike Williams, keeps bumming out, you can always swap him out, but you're never, I can't imagine the rest of the year you're taking Jamar or DK out of your lineup for really anything. So,
unless Russell keeps looking like dog doo-doo, then maybe.
As soon as you did, they would go for 150 and 2 touchdowns. Just right.
In a must-win
whenever
game.
they bring Geno back.
Yeah, must play. Exactly. Sit Russ's ass on the bench. I'm sick of that fucker. I have one more question for you. I think it's going to be a tradition here on out. I just got to ask, John, what's your deal?
Forgot about that last year.
No, seriously, what is your deal?
No,
John,
seriously.
I'm waiting. I need an answer.
I need an answer.
Oh.
So no deal? I guess that's.
I
that's
don't remember what I
saying.
responded last year.
Deal
Probably
or
the
no
same
deal?
thing. Says I don't have a deal.
You, Nick, you're his deal. You're the
I would
deal.
agree with
probably.
that. I'd agree with that
I
pretty
can see
heavily.
that.
Well, on that excellent journalistic note, let's move on to John's segment here.
John's milk it for what it's worth.
Moo gets me. All right, John, your milk it for what it's worth. What do you got?
All right, so this is the guy who has basically used up most of his value and has been able to consistently produce. My choice this year is going to be Adam Thielen, partly because I hate seeing the Vikings in town here, but also he's had 100-yard game this year. Yet he's at probably top 10 in the position. I don't even know his exact number. He's got 8 or 10 touchdowns in the year, and he's a good route runner. He's good in the red zone, but he's definitely in the decline, and his value is just going to go down from here.
Yeah,
Like it.
that's That's pretty solid. Yeah, definitely. 31 years old. He's definitely gotten milked for what he's worth. So, I can get behind that.
Machine, baby.
It's true. Some people got it, some people don't. But no, well, that's all I got on the docket. So, John, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks,
What a
Johnny.
stud this guy is. What a stud.
Nick can decide if you're a longtime friend or longtime enemy of the show, but maybe we'll get into that on the main show. So,
Longtime friend.
Nice talking to you, John, and we'll catch you later. See ya.
You guys.
See you, John.
Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, that was a good interview, John. Maybe someday you'll have the answer to what your deal really is. So,
No, he won't.
Nick's recurring segment. Nick chose to ask you that every year. It's I don't know why.
I chose to do
I
it.
don't know why Nick's so obsessed with asking you what your deal is, but
Will we
Just
ever
too
get the answer,
surprised.
though? Because every year it's just, I have no idea. I'm still wondering.
by next year maybe we'll find out. But with all that out of the way, let's hop into the matchups.
Dive on into the Husky League matchups.
Husky League matchups, we got Lick McCaff and Medak at 5-7, taking on Archduke Fish at 8-4. Dukes are a 23-point favorite in this one. Jeff, I'm gonna toss it to you first. What do you got here?
Oh, let's see here. 23 point. I'm going to go with you, Mike. And that's a large number, but I think it's mostly because McCaffrey's out, Jones is on bye. Jordan's got an option, maybe Boston Scott, but I don't know if he loves that. Breida you could maybe throw in there. I just think he's really light at running back this week with Jones being gone. And it's not – his wide receiver matchups aren't terrible. I don't think anything stands out or screams really good. And, you kind of look over on your side of the ball, Mike, you got some pretty favorable matchups. So, yeah, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take myself as well in this one, and it's mainly because of two matchups. Tampa Bay going against Atlanta. I think Brady and Evans will have a strong day there, and then Jonathan Taylor going against Houston. You mentioned the running back spot where Jordan's maybe a little bit weak. I think Leonard Fournette will have a fine day, but Johnny against Houston, I think gets right back to his Eaton ways and has quite a day there. So I'm happy with that. Man, George Kittle's been real inconsistent, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Was kind of killing it. He started slow, came back from injury and went off. I was debating throwing Ertz in the flex, but I like Gordon against Kansas City this week. Yeah, I'm probably staying put. Probably sticking with Kittle all the way through. And
Ooh, it's tough. Yeah,
We'll
with that
just live
Kittle
with it.
play, I mean, Seattle, are they just going to run the ball like crazy? They've been in some low-scoring games, I suppose. Seattle has been, but I think they're going to run all over them.
yeah, with Debo out, hopefully a couple extra targets go his way. So
Very true. Very true.
Yep,
That's
that's a good point.
process.
Nick, toss it over to you. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with you, too. I mean, last week we saw Fournette really hurt production for Tom Brady and Evans, and it seems like this favorable matchup against Atlanta, over under 50.5. I can't see Atlanta scoring really anything, to be honest with you. I do wonder if Fournette's going to repeat some kind of performance. Now, obviously not 40 points like he had last week, but I don't know. I feel like Tom Brady, 2 games where he doesn't score. What did he score last week?
11.
11. Yeah, 11.
Yeah. I think he outscores that. I think they'll turn it on against Atlanta and score at will. So you should be fine there. If you want to hit that drop, though.
Nick's Garbage Time All-Star.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
Yeah, so my garbage time all-star is going to be Leonard Fournette. He's going to score a touchdown in garbage time way, way up on Atlanta. I think that game is going to be just disgusting. Yeah, so it's not going to be enough to do anything for you, Jordo, but grab a touchdown late. So
Yeah, I got no problem with that. I agree. I think Tampa Bay is going to be up big. I wonder if the garbage time goes to Ronald Jones, though. They've been working him in a little bit more the last couple of weeks. So, he's been getting a couple extra drives here and there. That'll be interesting. But moving on to our next matchup here, we got Grizzly Adams at 6-6 taking on the SCLSU Mud Dogs at 3-9. Grizz is a 12-point favorite in this one. Nick, I'm gonna toss it to you first. What do you got here?
Oh man, I don't know. Troy really doesn't have any options. We talked about that earlier with that Jeff Wilson start. Who the hell else is he? P. Ryan? I have no idea what he's going with there. His lineup doesn't look great. I mean, for Christian Kirk, is he gonna have a target reduction? Is Hopkins coming back this week? I don't know. I think it's positive coming into this game. So,
yeah, I think he's back.
I think I'm gonna take Cooley to cover this. Pollard, surprisingly decent floor games. Gaskins has been doing really well the last couple weeks. They're going against New York. I mean, we saw Philly struggle with them last week, but that defense is also god awful. So Renfro is he gonna get? I think he had 17 last week. I think that's right, 17.9.
Yeah, he had a real nice game.
No Waller there against Washington's crappy pass defense could be a decent start too. I mean, Debo hurts obviously, but I think he's got enough there. Lamar Jackson's gonna have a bounce back game. Jeff talked about it. There's not many games where he's gonna be under 10 points like that. So yeah, I'm taking Cools.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad call at all. Interesting. You could really use a Mud Dog victory here as far as your playoff hopes are concerned.
I need it. Emotionally hedging.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
I think when you slot Travis Kelce into this lineup again, whatever Mahomes does against you, he's somewhat mitigated at least. I agree. I'm gonna take Cooley in this one. I think he covers. I'm actually gonna throw Devonta Smith as my highest scoring rookie this week. I think that Jets defense is bad, and they're especially bad against running backs. But all those Philly running backs are kind of banged up here. Jalen Hurts coming off such a terrible game. I think that Philly might look to try and get him a couple extra through the air, get confidence up in a game that you should win. So I think Devonta Smith has another solid game today here. He's been kind of on and off, but he gets my nod. So Jeff, I'm gonna toss it over to you. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm in the same mindset as you guys. I think I'm gonna go with Cooley. You throw Kelce up there, like you mentioned, Mike. You put Smith in for Debo. You just got to find something for a flex option in his lineup. I think Tony Pollard with a kind of a banged up Zeke is going to be a decent play. I think we saw a little bit uptick in usage last week, and I could see him following suit on that. And then, like you mentioned, Nick, Lamar is scary every week, and I think Lamar and Mahomes are basically going to offset themselves, and most weeks that's where Troy has a slight advantage. So I got a couple people in this matchup that I like, so I'll start with one there, Mike, if you want to.
Jeff's keep on cooking.
Who wants some man meat?
I do. I want some man meat.
Yeah, even though I'm going with Cooley, I think Joe Mixon is going to just keep on cooking this week. He's got a nice matchup against just a terrible Chargers rush defense, and that guy just is performing at a high rate this week and the past couple weeks. So I think that's one of Troy's lone bright spots in his lineups. Will Fuller's back, but I don't think it's going to be enough. There is one person though as a rookie. I think Kyle Pitts is going to be my pick here for the highest scoring rookie for the money line.
Got to throw it around a bunch. Why not him? I don't think that's a bad call at all. So I'm a little bit surprised though. I thought some couple other rookies would maybe get the nod here. I thought I was kind of going off the rails a little bit with the Devonta Smith grab, but
I think we all know who Nick's going to pick.
Yeah, I'm staying true to what I thought you guys were going to pick, to be honest.
All right, moving on to our next matchup. We got I am left-handed at 8-4, taking on Jay's Juggernauts at 1-11. Lefties are a 20-point favorite in this one. It's a game where he's getting Kyler back. Possibly getting Hopkins back. I think that's a good chance. But also Zeke came out. He's going to play. Cordero's been, unbelievable. I think that Kyle's got so much going for him in this one, Jeff. I just don't have a lot of confidence with the guys on your side of the ball, especially now you're hearing Amari Cooper might not go, still having COVID symptoms despite, getting past the days he needed to get past, but he's still got a cough, he's still got symptoms. So
Thursday night game too.
Yeah, Thursday night game, a short turnaround. Even if he decides to go, if he's got symptoms, I imagine that means he's having a case where even if he comes back and plays, he might be a little hampered. It's a respiratory illness. That's not something that you can just brush off and jump right back in and play. So even if he were cleared to go, I'd be hesitant as an owner, and that's only good things for CeeDee Lamb on the other side of the ball. So I'm going to pick Kyle. I think he covers here. Jeff, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm. What is it? 20 points.
20
I'm also
points.
I'm gonna go with the lefties, mostly because I don't think Cooper's gonna play. I think he didn't practice today. Doesn't look good. I know the report said that if he practices Wednesday, he'll have a shot to play. But Mike, like you said, even if he's out there, what percentage is he going? And I think CD is going to be back. He's going to have a monster game. And my two running backs with Damian Harris and Stevenson going against the Bills, it's just not a good matchup. So I think there's too much on Kyle's side of the ball this week. And with Murray back and Hopkins in there, it doesn't take much for those guys to light up a scoreboard. And, Kyle's lineup is back to being scary, in my opinion. So I'm going to go with him.
Yeah, interesting. Still going to be probably without Darren Waller in this game, but, especially, no offense, Jeff, especially against your lineup, it doesn't seem to really matter. Maybe if it was,
right,
the next week where he's going up against Tony, maybe he's got to worry about that loss a little bit, but seems like he'll be able to squeeze out of this one. Nick, toss it over to you. What do you got in this one?
Yeah, I've got Kyle in this one as well, getting back to full strength. Even you just talked about without Waller, but it's not going to matter. Josh Jacobs should have a decent game, but yeah, those two running backs, New England running backs going against Buffalo at Buffalo.
Yep.
Great rush defense, and you're playing both of them, so it's tough. You can't really hit that high ceiling because one of them's not gonna perform if that happens. So McLaurin should have a good game, but I don't know how Mooney's going to fare. He's had a great couple of weeks. Is Allen Robinson coming back? I know he's on my team, but I don't even care about that fucking bum.
I would think that he's going to be back, weren't they? They held him out their bye week this week, and I don't think it was going to be that long of an injury. So I expect him to be out there.
Yeah, the last two, it's been weird. The last couple of games, they haven't ruled him out. And usually when they rule somebody out early is when you kind of get concerned. But he's been doubtful up to games. When someone's doubtful, they're not playing. But it's just weird to give him that designation, a couple weeks in a row, unless he was, had a shot. So I'd have to think he comes back sooner than later.
True. Yeah, and that Van Jefferson play, I'm liking that more and more as the weeks go on. He's been pretty consistent, the last three? My CBS is messed up, so I can't see what his stat lines were. But, yeah.
He's got a good matchup, too, against the Jags, which, I could see them getting up big, being disappointed walking out of Lambeau with a loss like that. I could see them throwing it around, and he's going to be a beneficiary of that. So, nope, I agree with everything you guys are saying.
For sure.
Sorry,
all right, moving on to our next matchup. We got the Taint Ticklers at 5-7, taking on Benny and the Jets at 9-3. Taint Ticklers are a 5-point favorite in this one. This is probably my most surprising line. I thought about taking this as my against the experts pick, but that almost felt, like I was cheating. So,
hey!
But it's actually, it's interesting because, if Taysom Hill gets the start here, the upside of your team is enormous. And I think on the other side, if you look at, he's got J.D. McKissick in there right now. I don't think J.D. McKissick plays.
Right.
That injury looked bad. You haven't heard anything about it yet, but it just doesn't sound like it's a good situation for him. So really that leaves him to having to play Devontae Booker in his RB2 spot. Kareem Hunt's on bye. He's got James Conner. So not a great setup here for Benny. Aaron Rodgers on bye, so he's got to trust Wentz. But you've kind of got that counter punch with Michael Pittman, who in theory gets most of Carson Wentz's work when he has good days. So, well, but no, I actually looking at these lineups, in that same vein, when JD's hurt, you got Antonio Gibson getting a bump against a Vegas defense that isn't great. The receivers look really nice for Benny, but I got to go with Nick here. I'm taking Nick on the 5-point line to cover that. So, Jeff, I'm going to toss it over to you next. What do you got?
I bouncing back and forth on this one so hard. I had Nick wrote down, and then I moved it over to Ben as we were talking. I'm going to go Mike, you're the 1-point favorite right now. 1 pick.
Yep.
I'm a half ahead of you.
Above you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ben on this one. I think I don't think JD, like you mentioned, is going to be in there. I don't know if Kamara is going to be in there, Nick. It's a Thursday night game that if he's in there, I think that's I think that'll hurt, but you could slide Ingram in there like you said, and Taysom Hill is going to be a nice play. So the more and more I look at your lineup, the more and more I like it, but I'm going to stick with Ben. He's been putting up big numbers pretty much week in and week out, and with that 5-point line in your favor, I'm hoping that he keeps it close. So I'm going to go with Benny and the Jets.
Nick, you emotionally hedging this one, or you staying true to yourself?
I'm thinking about it, but I actually like that line in my favor. I think I'm going to go with me here. I like my matchups. Yeah, Keenan Allen just been performing. I mean, he hasn't been a touchdown really. He had a touchdown maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, but since I guess you're 8th against the pass, but I don't know. I don't know if I buy that. Godwin against Atlanta. We talked about that blowout game if it falls. But in the passing favor, I think Tom Brady is going to get his for that game. What's curious, you talked about the upside of my team with Taysom Hill starting. It scares me a little bit because if he starts, is he going to start taking away touchdowns from Alvin Kamara? And shoot, I was almost thinking about starting Alvin Kamara and Ingram both. So, I mean, now I obviously can. If Taysom Hill's the starter, I got to pick Kamara and Taysom Hill here. But I think there's enough here. I'm starting with Kendrick Bourne. It's coming off a couple good games. There's one down week in between, but I know that's against Buffalo, which sucks. Sucks bad. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring game, but I think I got enough to cover that 5-point spread, especially because he has those injuries on the other side. Is really the main reason I'm going with myself here.
If Kamara and Ingram are both in, do you consider Russell over Hill, or are you going to stick with Hill?
I'm sticking with Hill. I mean, it limits my upside, but I really think Hill's just going to take away anyways.
Yep.
So I might as well have that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, if your quarterback takes a rushing touchdown away from your running back, you still got a rushing touchdown. I mean, it's
but you
it's
think
easy to
about
look
it
at the
too,
negative, but
if Hill dumps it off to Kamara for a short swing pass, you're doubling up too. So
yeah, Kamara's a receiving back, right? It's easy to look at the negatives, but I think there's some goods in there too. So, all right, moving on to our next matchup
because it's gonna make me horny. Oh, sorry.
Love that.
Take it away, Mike. Sorry.
All right, moving on to our next matchup. We got Old Man Joe at 4-8, taking on the Aaron Rodgers football team at 10-2. Football team is a 25-point favorite in this one. Nick, I'm gonna toss it your way first. What do you got here?
I've got Tony in this game. He's just been rolling week in and week out. I mean, Swift hurt, but just slide. Is Swift going to be out? I haven't even really checked it.
Probably, but they haven't said for sure. I think he's out.
Jamal Williams in there healthy. It's a downgrade, obviously, but it should be still good. His team just looks so good. I mean, I got Waddle. I think we knew that was coming for highest scoring rookie. He's been just on fire the last couple of weeks. I think it's going to continue. And looking on Joe's side, I don't like much. So Tony will cover that pretty easily.
I think there is a couple things to like on Joe's side of the ball. Last time the Lions played the Vikings, it was a little higher scoring game, a little bit back and forth, especially at the end there. Montgomery against Arizona isn't great, but Javonte against Kansas City is. I like that matchup for him. But at the same time, without A.J. Brown, the receiving core takes a big hit. Alexander Madison slotting in there is nice. That's nice. Sure. But
that's very nice.
All that said, Joe, I tried to give you as many props as I could, but I'm taking the football team to cover this one. Jeff, what about you?
You almost swayed me, Mike, but I'm going to stick with Tony here. His team is just, I saw it last week, just dominant and can put up numbers quickly. I think it would be a little bit harder decision, though, if DJ Moore or AJ Brown were in and he had them instead of Traquan Smith, because there's some things in Joe's lineup this week that make me wonder, but I think overall Allen, Williams, Jefferson, there's just so much explosiveness. Mark Andrews, who we don't talk about too much, but constantly puts up double digits and is Lamar's number one option. It's just the only thing that makes me worried about Tony's lineup is AB, is if he's going to be on some pitch count or not, or if he's fully go. I don't know who else he would play. I think he's probably fully given up on Alex Collins at this point, being in his flex spot. Yeah, I don't blame him there, but and I don't think Devontae Parker is healthy enough either, would be the right play. So yeah, I looking at it now, I think AB's the right call. So I'm gonna go with Tony.
He could always go with the two Lions running backs, neither of which being Swift.
Oh, why are you even saying that? That makes me want to
Jermaine Jefferson in there.
He won't.
Garbage.
Tony
won't do it. You won't do it, Tony. You don't have the stones. All right. Moving on to our next matchup, we got Ball is Life at 7-5, taking on Cobra Kai at 6-6. So Ball is a 19-point favorite in this one, and it is our
hot diggity dog. It's the game of the week.
Game of the week, a pretty important game as far as two teams that are kind of hanging out there in playoff consideration. If John can take the win here, he'll all but cement himself. I think he will cement himself as locked into the playoffs. But a loss, drops him into that range where he's in striking distance of some of these teams. Bumps Stank up to a pretty comfortable spot. Sitting if he can move to 7-6 here. So this will be a pretty important one, I think. Nick, I'm going to toss it over to you first. What do you got in this one?
Oh, man, this one's really tough. A 19-point line is pretty hard for me looking at these two. I've been back and forth. I was hoping you were going to throw it to Jeff first, but I like John's matchups. I like that Cincy Chargers game as being a high-scoring game. The over-under we talked about is 50.5. Is Mike Williams going to have one of those big games, or is it going to be Keenan Allen and he's going to have a down game? Is DK going to come back? 19 points is a lot, and I think Elijah Mitchell's going to beat that 10-point projection. I have Ball is Life written down, but I think I'm flipping to Kai covering that 19. Yeah, I'm going to do it.
The live tilt.
Enough there.
The live.
I think there's enough there. Hurts doesn't have that bad of a game. I know he always has the potential to have that bad of a game until the fourth quarter comes, but against the Jets, I think he's gonna have a little rushing touchdown there too.
Who knows? He might not be playing in the fourth quarter against the Jets.
That's true. Singletary, I don't know if I love that start, but
Hurts has a bummed up ankle. I know Gardner Minshew is doing some preparing this week, but it sounds like it's 50-50 if he goes even. So
think about that too. If he doesn't go,
There's nobody.
Doesn't really have any option.
Doesn't have a
looking at
quarterback to
that.
play if Hurts doesn't go.
Wow.
That'll be brutal. A big hit
Wow,
for
I didn't
him.
even
So,
think about that.
I think he'll go. I don't know. Hopefully for Kyle.
so Jeff, toss it over to you. What do you got in this one?
I'm going to go with Ball is Life. We talked about some of his matchups, some of his guys being a little bit of a disappointment in our interview with John, and he swayed me enough to get back onto his camp for this one. I think DK only having I don't know how many targets or whatever, but one catch at the end of the game. I think they're going to make a point to get him the ball early. That Foster Moreau with Waller out, he's the clear tight end one there. You never know with Mike Williams. You never know with Jamar Chase. I mean, early on it was pretty consistent. You could lock in double digits. Recently you can't. But I think there's enough here, and I think upset Rams squad with Matthew Stafford slinging the ball around here is enough for me to cover that 19-point deficit with John here. So that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I got no argument there, but this is definitely going to be my...
Mike's against the expert's pick.
Are you gonna listen to a big dummy, or are you gonna listen to me?
I think Kyle's team is I'm gonna pick Kai in this one. I think he's got some nice plays, and mainly it's because John's players, all of their projections haven't really reflected how badly they've been playing lately. And I think, if you knock a couple points off of all those guys that have, not hit that projection in the last 3 weeks, suddenly it's not even close to this 19-point line. So I'm gonna take Cobra Kai in this one. You guys touched on a lot of this. Obviously, if Jalen Hurts happened to not go and Kai was, up a creek, it'd be a different story. But yeah, I think Kai's got enough. I'm gonna take Cobra Kai in this one. So, all right,
Come on, Johnny, I need you this week.
Come back, Mike. We picked all the same ones. That sucks.
Well, sucks for you.
I know.
Doesn't suck for me.
It sucks for me if you guys get them all right. I think I got two.
Bye, Chad. Yeah, you got two different.
All right, with all that, let's hop into it.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
This here's Mike's. Will it happen?
So we got 2 weeks left here. A playoff probability of Jordan and myself is right around 3%. Will either one of us make the playoffs this year?
It will not happen.
That was Mike's. Will it happen?
I thought you were gonna be bold. Wow. Dock's points stink. Drop
Didn't
it down.
even hesitate on that one.
That's like a point. That's like a 0.1 point on that one.
I think he answered the question before you were even done, Nick.
Yeah. Will it happen? No. Stupid question.
Right. Let's jump into it.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
Shut up, baby. I know it. Absolute guarantee.
I'll lead us off this time. A lot of love for Patriots kicker Nick Folk on the other end of this table here. Tony, a lot of love for him. He was sent a text earlier today, and he said that how disrespectful it is that Nick Folk was projected for 6 points. I think that's a pretty solid projection. I got Nick Folk less than 7 points this week.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
All touchdowns. I can see it too.
All Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson touchdowns.
Against
like
that
it.
Buffalo defense known for giving up running back performances.
Right. One against?
It happened once.
That's a bold guarantee, Mike.
All right, Nick, what do you got?
I have as my shut up baby guarantee that Jeff is going to pick up a win one of these last two games.
Ooh.
Oh, one of the last two. Yeah, I like that.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
So,
guess it's my time. Yeah. Hopefully 2 wins.
Yeah, that's definitely good. Oh, no.
All right, Jeff, what do you got?
So I gave some love to Kyle Pitts earlier in the show. I'm going to give him some more love. My absolute guarantee is Kyle Pitts will be a top 5 tight end this week.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
No, I don't hate that.
No, I like that.
Well, That's all I got with all that out of the way. Thanks for stopping in, and good luck this week unless you're playing one of us. Have a good one.
Webster's Dictionary defines radish as a swollen, pungent-tasting edible root high in potassium, which can help lower blood pressure. Or more importantly, 3 guys spitting nonsense and talking about fantasy football. Add salt and pepper and chomp into another episode next time. See y'all later.